Art has been very important to me. After I moved to Minnesota, I've been enjoying so much the creative world here. The Chinese calligraphy has 3,000 years of history. It's wonderful heritage, but sometimes too confined, not willing to try new things. I guess I have the luck to try to do it in America. No one can stop me. I grew up in Shanghai and Nanjing area, moved to Taiwan, and then finished my college and come to Minnesota quite early, 1953. I did study here, structural engineering, and got my master. Then I discovered my continued interest in city planning, but I'm also been enjoying my Chinese calligraphy. It was written by emperor beautifully, but it sadly recalled the country he lost already. So I wrote this first in oracle bone style, then in running style as usual practice. I enjoy the style, very pictorial. This is moon, this is water, so you can see. Calligraphy is something that, and not only the artistic aspect to need the scale, the brush, really the Chinese calligraphy really has to develop from the heart. Your expression, your own poetry, your own feeling, your emotional, and plus your skill. It takes years or decades of handling the brush, the ink, the water, the paper, to come out with something that satisfies you. By integrating brush with computer, give me more possibility to articulate to different expression. I think that it does not forget their heritage, forget the basic tradition, but yet try to find innovation to combine the two. So the old and new, East and West all come together. I think has infinite possibility. I did it all on computer, casting dream. I never forget the brush spirit, but I want to seek new spirit, using the new tool and still using the brush and computers, and could combine with music or dance or other things, all come together. To my surprise, China Art Academy invited me to go there to do a solo exhibit. Since then, I've been going back to China to exhibit. I also exhibit in Japan, published it there in their magazine. I have been asked to serve on the Chinese Art Academy, their Modern Calligraphy Center, as an advisor for a number of years. They acquired some of my work.
In the 80s, with his Mac, he was playing with the possibilities. He was bringing in Oriental values of calligraphic procedures and somehow wrestling with them in digital.
This book is a Ming 17th century product that was based on the Shi Jinggu Chen, which is a 12th century catalog that codified the entire collection of the Qing Emperor at that time. Scholars were responsible for the artistic writing that goes on. They were great poets, historians, but it's from this that Wei Ming really begins his understanding from a historical point of view. Wei Ming's is, I think, the most innovative of the changes that we can trace over the last couple hundred years. I
have so much that heritage from Chinese philosophers like Lao Tzu and Confucius. Lao Tzu talk about important thing is Tao had to follow nature. Tao is the way of thinking. That is the ecological perspective. Lower Town is my effort of bringing my background is to see what I can do to contribute to rebuilding this community. Combination of East and West, old and new.
Weiming has been an extraordinary influence on what's happened in St. Paul in the last several decades. This is evident in the impact that he made with helping to get artists living and working in Lower Town. It also has to do with the great understanding he had of the architecture that already exists here in St. Paul, and the fact that we could adaptively reuse in a very significant way the architecture that still remains here.
I wrote a book called A Tao to Urban Rejuvenation. Talk about Lower Town, how we envision, how we market, how we finance, how we cut through public partnership to create a new community. In Minneapolis, these have got to be in the 60s to tackle how the suburban growth and the downtown decay. How do we bring life back? The Nicola Mall, Skyway, we developed a whole plan for the whole city. That led to several important legislation to save historic buildings. It's very heartening to see these things now follow soon. I was elected to the Committee 100, which is a leadership council for Chinese American, including I.M. Pei, Yo-Yo Ma's, and others. That committee has two missions. One is to help Chinese American to enter the mainstream of America. The other mission was try to promote better understanding between U.S. and China to be peaceful partners and build a more prosperous world. I've been working locally, but then also I've been asked to serve nationally, like Organization of Chinese American, OCA, which are about 40 or 50 chapters around the country. I helped to form the Minnesota chapter. Art is a patient search, as Le Corbusier said. It isn't just something you can just come right away. It's important to share these experiences to make sure the next generation has a chance to build, to create their vision.
How do you feel when you do calligraphy on a computer? Because calligraphy is usually done traditionally on paper, but now you're doing it on a computer, which is like a new technology.
Yeah, I don't give up brush, because I do think it's still for me to continue to connect with the heritage. I'm so grateful that I have a chance to have these different opportunities.